Welcome everyone to the Board of Trustees meeting here on November 21st, 2017. If you could please rise for the invocation. Actually, I found out the pastor could not make it due to a personal problem, so I called my daughter and she wrote a nice prayer here, so I'm going to use it. Dear Lord, teach us to be grateful, not just during the Thanksgiving holiday, but every day. Open our hearts and our minds to see the blessings that you pour out into our lives each day. Even in the dark days and seasons, when the last thing we want to do is be thankful, show us a joy that comes from thanking you for each blessing, both big and small. You tell us your word that where two or more are gathered in your name, there you are among them. You are right here with us, and we thank you for that. Be in our midst, enliven us with your presence, and fill us with your spirit. And when we leave here tonight, continue, we ask, to equip us with everything we need to be your hands and your feet, making a difference in this world for you. Help us to be of good cheer, to lift others up, to speak well of everyone, and to explain everything in the kindest way. Thank you, Lord, for everything you are. In your heavenly name we pray and begin. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. I do appreciate it. I just have a couple of announcements tonight, and I want to talk about storm drains, especially on a rainy night like now. Usually storm drains are anonymous, meaning that you can drive, walk, and bike past or over one and never know it. Unfortunately, this time of the year and in the spring, when it rains, the rains are heavier in Shelby Township, and these drains can flood and result in significant hardship for surrounding properties. Most storm drains in the township, which resemble small creeks, have not been receiving routine maintenance, and this has led to past flooding issues near these drains. And I'm glad to say tonight that there is no longer the case for two of the drains in Shelby Township, with a third drain set to receive some much-needed rehab next week. There's no need to fear that these will and are being fixed. Last week, led by Macomb County Public Works Commissioner Candace Miller, the staff from the Macomb County office cleared out a 1,500-foot portion of the Lawson Drain that runs just south of Eisenhower High School. And we have a short video from ShelbyTV on this project, which we will show momentarily. Prior to this most recent project, the Macomb County Public Works Commissioner cleared out portions of the Dunn Drain between 21-mile and 22-mile roads east and west of the M53 Expressway last year. And Commissioner Miller has plans to clear out a portion of the Wilcox Drain near 21-mile road and the M53 Expressway next week. Both the Lawson and the Wilcox drains were planned with a direct cost to the Shelby Township taxpayers of less than $8,000, thanks to the new, much-needed program instituted by Commissioner Miller. And for more on this program and the drain projects, here's a video from Commissioner Miller and ShelbyTV. If you could roll that, Ed.
Hi, I'm Candace Miller. I'm the Macomb County Public Works Commissioner, and I'm standing out here sort of northwest, I guess we are, of 24 in Van Dyke with the Township Supervisor of Shelby Township, Rick Stepkis. And we are here because I'm in the drain business, and we're trying to clean out drains that have not been maintained literally for decades. So we have a very comprehensive, a very aggressive drain maintenance program that we started here in the first year that I've been in office, all over Macomb County, but particularly in northern Macomb County where we have so many drains. You see them when you drive along the main drags there, particularly after heavy rain, and you see so much flooding that's happening because these drains are just not draining. They're not doing what they need to do. And when that happens, there's all kinds of road flooding that happens. Property damage can occur, particularly to people's foundations of their homes, etc. So we really have been identifying drains that have been not maintained or nothing done to them, ignored, really basically for decades. Now, what we started this year is a 50-50 match program where if a community will identify a priority drain maintenance program in their community, They'll pay 50%, and then the county will pay 50%. So in this particular instance, the community, Shelby Township, through the supervisor, identified the Lawson drain as a priority for them, something that had not been working for years. Actually, the whole configuration of this drain several decades ago was changed for whatever reason. And so it was running sort of along a roadside ditch and flooding a neighborhood rather than being in the drain where Mother Nature wanted it to go. And as I say, that's been going on for a number of decades. We came in and took a look at what needed to be done here. Now, if your video is getting this, running along here, you can see how beautifully this drain has all been cut in here. And you see all of the what we call mulch matting. Of course, this will grow with grass, etc. But if you can even imagine this, a couple of days ago, what you see here on the drain is the same as you see with this heavily forested area here, heavily wooded area. So we weren't even really quite sure where the drain was when we first came out to look for it. As I say, because it had been rerouted actually a number of decades ago. So we had a contractor come in along with our drain maintenance crew. Of course, we take a look and we sort of plan it out here what we think is the best way, the best approach to be able to accommodate what we needed to do. And really in several days, this is what has happened. So we do a lot of work. We think we do it at a good price. And most importantly, the community is advantaged. And this particular drain is right behind the high school, Eisenhower High School, in the junior high there. And there's a little bike path that runs through here from the neighborhoods, runs over to the schools, and the kids walk through here. But anytime it was rainy, all of this was totally bog. I mean, I don't know how else to characterize it. It was just bogged down. Kids were walking through the water. There actually was pathways. The water, of course, seeks its own way, even if it's being forced in a way it doesn't want to go. So it was sort of bogging its way and finding these pathways by really completely eroding the ground here as it was running where it didn't need to be going. So we feel very good about how this is exactly what we've been trying to do. It's what we should be doing. And we actually have about 900 drains under the jurisdiction of the Macomb County Public Works Commission. Before we had our county charter in Macomb County, they called it the Drain Commissioner. So even though I'm the Public Works Commissioner, in my own mind, I certainly still think of myself as a Drain Commissioner in so many ways. And we're in the drain business. We're cleaning out drains. And again, our communities will all be very much advantaged because as we do this, we stabilize the soil. We improve water quality, quite frankly. So you have all of this different kinds of sediments that it's picking up in places where it shouldn't be. And quite frankly, we can do habitat restoration as well for all of our critter friends. So we're quite excited with what a beautiful outcome that we've had here. But we certainly want to thank our great partners in this, is Shelby Township. There's several other areas that we're on the move to accommodate them. And again, it's up to the local community in many ways to sort of tell us, because they've heard the complaints for years, what are the priorities, where would they like us to address our efforts, and that's what it's all about. It's a good team and a partnership, so we're delighted to be here.
And I agree, it is about a good team, and I just want to congratulate you and thank you for being a good team member, because last year I called you on the Dun Drain. That was something we needed to get done right away, and I like your no-nonsense approach. We didn't have to hire an engineer. You got it done for us right away. I made one phone call this year. You got 2 drains done, and I just want to thank you for a great partnership. You're out here in no time. You got it done, and that's a no-nonsense approach we need, so thank you very much. And one last thing I want to say, too, is thank you to the Board of Trustees. Because of their fiscal conservative policies, we have the money. When things like this pop up, opportunities like this from her office, we're ready and able to take advantage of it. So Candace, thanks for all the good work, and please keep up the good work.
Thanks so much, Supervisor, and I certainly want to thank the entire Board of Trustees as well. You've all really done a great job there, as he says, with being fiscally conservative so that we can spend the money as you really need to, making sure that the citizens and the taxpayers are advantaged by these kinds of programs. So thank you all.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and again, to the Board of Trustees, thank you for authorizing that, and thank you for making sure the money was there. If you live near a drain and you're in need, you think the drain is in need of being cleaned out, please contact my office at 586-731-5154, and we will have our township engineer or their engineer look at it and hopefully get something done quickly. Okay, that's it for me. If Mr. Miller, Dave Miller from DPW is here, our director. There was a question last week about, well, I'll let you explain it. Thanks. The Bell Grant, yeah.
Mr. Supervisor, board members. There was a question last week about why Fazal Khan billed the DPW so much money for a SAW grant. And what the SAW grant is, it's a grant, a $2 million grant that we obtained from the state of Michigan in order to develop a sanitary sewer asset management plan. In doing that right now, we've got to go out, we've got to identify with the GIS where all of our sanitary sewer manholes and our sanitary sewer mains are.
Thank you.
Fazal Khan is doing that as part of their professional services. This is money that we'll be paying them and that we will be getting back from the grant.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I do appreciate you coming in for that, and we look forward to hearing from you later in the meeting. Mr. Groh, can you please take the roll?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. Before I do that, I'd like to recognize a couple students from Utica High. There's Mackenzie and Michael, way in the middle there. Wave to your mom and dad and all. All right.
Now they know that you're here.
Thanks for coming. Michael Flynn.
Here.
Stanley Grutz here. Rick Stefficus.
Here.
John Vermeulen.
Here.
Vince Viviano.
Here.
Lynn Wilhelm.
Here.
And Doug Wozniak.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Flynn.
I would move to open the public hearing on cost for SAD 34S 2015.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, seconded by Mr. Wozniak. If you could please take the roll.
Michael Flynn.
Yes.
Doug Wozniak.
Here.
Stanley Grut, yes. Rick Stefficus.
Here.
Yes.
Yes.
John Vermeulen.
Yes.
Vince Viviano.
Yes.
And Lynn Wilhelm.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Groh. Our Director of DPW, David Miller, is here tonight, and we are asked to conduct this public hearing so that the property owners can express their concerns with regard to costs being assessed against property for the sanitary sewer project known as SAD, or Special Assessment District, and that would be number 34-S 2015. Now, there's been a number of public comments already regarding this project for a sanitary sewer that will be installed in the northeast quadrant of our township. As a result of the concerns from various residents, the project was redrawn, and I know that Mr. Miller has met with a number of folks to try to address their concerns. Mr. Miller, you have anything to add?
We've got a small presentation.
Okay, I'll let you make that now. Thank you. And also, I want to thank our assessor, Matt Schmidt, for the great work that he's done, too, along with our engineer, Carol Thurber.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor, Township Board, if we can put the presentation up, please. We're here for the public hearing on cost for Special Assessment District 34S. Go to the next slide, please. On the screen is the initial alignment for this Special Assessment District. We had 82 properties up there. It totaled 913 and a half acres. We got petitions from a cumulative total of 592.4 acres at 64.8%. Public Act 188 requires that we have over 50% sufficiency in order to establish a district. Can we go to the next slide, please? Through a number of comments at our public hearing and necessity and other times throughout this process, we heard a lot of objections from property owners, homeowners up in the area. And so what we did is we realigned the sanitary sewer. We reduced the scope of the project from the 80-plus property owners down to 33. That gave us a total of 686.4 acres in the district, of which 568.74 signed the petitions, leaving us a sufficiency of 82.86%. On a project of this size, that's a very good sufficiency. Now, if we go through the assessment process, or the SAD process a little bit, real quickly. Now, number one, we received the petitions, and the township certified these petitions. The township board adopted the petitions, and we adopted resolution number 1, directing the township engineers to establish plans and estimates. Resolution number 2 set the public hearing on necessity. That was held on December 20, 2016. For the first one, after the redesign, we went back and had another public hearing on necessity, and that was held on June 20 of 2017. Also, on June 20th, 17, we adopted Resolution Number 3. Resolution Number 3 directs the assessor to prepare the roll. What he'll do at that point, the project was put out for bid, the assessor takes the as-bid estimate, and he makes the determination how each property will be assessed on the cost of this project. October 17, we held the Resolution Number 4, which set the public hearing date for tonight. And that brings us to tonight. We're here to have the public hearing on cost. Go to the next slide, please. This slide here tells the as-bid estimate. The total project cost on this is a little over $8.8 million. Next slide, please. And the next slide, the next two slides actually are the actual roll, and they show how each property owner is assessed. So with that, I would ask that the board opens up the public hearing on cost.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation, and I will open up the public discussion. Is there anyone that would like to come up and comment? Just one person? Oh, okay.
Good morning, Mr. Supervisor and Board of Trustees. Quick question, is this is this the hearing now that I have the time to go over all the information?
All the information
Okay.
regarding this, you can,
Okay.
you
then
can
let
say
me
it all.
just pass
Yeah.
out. Okay, my name is Sarah Deagle. I am a resident and a business owner in Shelby Township. I want to start off and discuss a little bit before I talk about the cost of the project. I want to remind you that we do oppose the project because, one, we don't want it, nor do we need the sewer. We've stated this in previous hearings that we would not benefit from the project, and that still remains true today. The amount we have been assessed is $106,000 and $135. This amount would create a huge hardship for us, as we are a small business, and we have been around for many years, and we simply cannot afford it. We've been told that we would benefit from the sewer, but this is not true. We are a greenhouse business, and we would not utilize the sewer, especially $106,000 worth. The only people that are benefiting from the sewer are the developers. I understand that they're paying for the sewer, but the difference between them and us is they will recoup the amount, as we will not. The developers will recoup what they put in when they sell the houses that they're developing. And talking about benefiting, there is a property that is exempt, but now has been sold to a developer. So they were prior in the original plan, but they were exempt because it would cost too much money for them to connect to the sewer. Now has been sold to a developer who plans on developing that property. I believe that's not fair, that he would be able to tap into the sewer without paying his fair share. I believe that anybody that taps into the sewer project should have to pay their portion, regardless if that property was exempt prior, but the circumstances changed, because the person before had one house that could not tap into it. And now we're talking about a developer building multiple houses and tapping into it to utilize for more than one house. There's also other people that were exempt, which are across the street from us. Now, they were told that they cannot tap into it unless they created their own SAD district, and then they would have to go through the process to be able to tap in. I believe that that should be what this developer should have to do as well in order to tap into it. Even though it's on their property, they should still have to either pay for it or create their own district to be able to tap into this. Otherwise, he's going to benefit on the backs of us by putting in houses there. Now, there's also another property that I would like to address that is not on the plan. So Churco has now purchased property off of Hayes. It was previously owned by Guy Dennis. Now, this property is not a part of the project, but Churco has also recently purchased the Randazzo property on 25 Mile, which is a part of the project. I would like, because I was told, Mr. Miller and I discussed that Churco was told that they cannot tap into the sewer and bring it up Hayes for their property that used to be Guy Dennis's property. It's about 68 acres that they're going to develop. Now, they're also going to be linking that property to Dan's excavating property that's located behind us. They plan on connecting the developments. Now, I don't think that they should be able to tap into the sewer regardless if it's through the Dan's excavating subdivision or the Randazzo property off of 25 and be able to have 68 acres of development of sewer, because then again, they're benefiting for something that we're paying for. So I believe, again, either they need to be a part of this and pay their portion, or they would have to create their own SAD district and bring it up Hayes, as Mr. Miller had stated they would have to do in the first place. But I would like to be addressed on the record that they cannot tap into the sewer project. Now, not only do we have to pay over $106,000, but if we don't have that money up front, we have to pay interest on top of it, we are told. Now, I don't have $106,000 to be able to pay up front. Most people don't. Regardless, the developers, yes, they have big pockets, they're able to pay it, they're not going to have to take the interest on it. Now, I believe because we do not want it, nor do we need it, that we should not have to pay interest. We should be able to pay this off at any time without penalty or without interest. Because now you're telling me not only $106,000 I have to pay, but I also have to pay, and on the agenda packet, it's saying 2.5%. So add 2.5% to $106,000, and that's a lot of money that we don't have. I mean, a bank, your interest at a bank is 0.01%. So if you have to charge an interest, then charge 0.01%, just like a bank would. So I please ask you to really take that into consideration, that this is a lot of money, and please don't put more money on top of it. Also, just for an example, Mr. Flynn, at one of the work sessions that we were at, myself and some other members that were a part of the original plan and that are still a part of the plan, who are affected by the sewer, you had stated that you understand because you had an assessment for lighting, and that it was about $2,000 you had to pay, and that you understood because you didn't have it and you unfortunately couldn't go on vacation that year. So take that into consideration. So $2,000 for 1 year of no vacation. Okay, we're looking at $106,000. That's a lifetime of vacations. That means you're going to tell my children I can never take them on a family vacation because I have to pay $106,000 for something that I'm not asking for. So is that really fair? Does that seem fair to everybody that we have to pay all that for something we don't want, and that it's going to create a hardship for my family and never be able to take my kids to Disney World at any point in their life? As I stated previously, that this is a hardship for many reasons. One, $106,000, over $106,000 is a lot of money, and the interest on top of it that I talked about. But what's even worse is it's our only source of income is the greenhouse business that's located where the construction will be. And what happens during construction? People go around construction. They don't want to go down these roads. They will avoid it. I do the same thing. So now we're looking at loss of business. So not only do I have a large bill, $106,000, I have interest on top of it, and now I have loss of business. So do you see all this accumulating? And who's benefiting? The developers. And you know, think about us little people. We voted for you guys, and I'm just asking that you guys stand up for us. You know, we have been in the community from 1954, the business, been passed down from family to family. That's a long time. Shelby Township was based on agriculture businesses. That's used to be what it was, farmland and agriculture business. And I really don't want to see everybody get driven away because we just simply can't afford this project and the interest that you're asking us. So this project is a huge deal to us. And I understand that the developers, and I understand the housing coming in is going to help the township, but there are certain things that you guys can do to help us out. Not charging interest, not having a penalty for not paying it off right off the bat, and working for the people and the small businesses. You know, the township has helped large businesses, the industrial businesses come in and have tax breaks. What about us? What about the small people who just simply can't afford this amount plus interest on top of it, where's our break? And I'm asking you tonight to please take all this into consideration, that you give breaks to these large companies coming in, but all of our business has been around for many, many years. What kind of break are we gonna get? If we have to pay $106,000 plus interest, you guys are driving us out of the community. And I understand some people have said, well, some businesses go under during the progress of development, but isn't that sad to say that a business that's been around for that long would go under because of something like this, for a sewer? Now, you think, oh, what's a greenhouse? There's a couple other in the area, there'll be more. But guess what? We do so much for the community. We supply and we work with over 20 churches in the area doing fundraisers, and not only the churches, but the Boy Scout and the Girl Scout groups that we work with. They do fundraisers to do so many great things. We work with them so they can earn money to do things in this community and all the great things that this community is. And I know this community is great, and I wish we could, stand by this community, but right now, I'm very sad because this is a lot of money, and I'm afraid that this would be too hard on us. And I'm just asking you to take all this into consideration tonight when you talk about the interest and the cost of it, that it's not affordable for everybody.
Okay, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else tonight? Yes, here in the front row. Mr. Churchill.
Mr. Stathakis, may I mention something while Mr. Churchill comes
Yes.
to the podium? I think the recommendation from the DPW department tonight is going to be to remove the resolution from the agenda, later discussion anyway. So I think what's going to happen, it might be worth noting as the speakers come up here, that their comments will be taken into account here, as they have been in the past. But the item regarding the interest rate, the resolution that's on the agenda, my understanding is recommendation is that the board does not address that issue tonight and come back after we've had a time to digest these comments.
That's correct. That item has been removed from the agenda, and it'll be officially done when we approve the agenda. Okay? Mr. Miller, you're okay with that? Mr. Churchill.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. Ron Churchill, Mound Road. Mr. Supervisor, the last time that this issue came up, I came up here to ask 3 specific questions, and I sat back down, and I thought they were going to be answered, and they weren't. And before I knew it, the public hearing was being closed, and I said that.
What are the
I
questions?
mentioned you didn't answer my questions, and.
What are they?
And you gavelled me. So I want to ask these same 3 questions again, because Mr. Miller answered them for me out in the hall, but I wanted the public to hear the answer to these questions. And these questions were, number 1, I want to know who is going to pick up the cost of the so-called, I believe it's 5 exempt lots. Who is going to pick up that cost for those exempt lots? Second, if one of the residences does not tie in to the sewer line immediately, are they going to be charged interest? And third, my third question was, if a homeowner does not tie into the sewer line immediately, and if they want to sell their house, are they going to be refused, kept from selling that house until they tap into that line, pay for tapping into that line? Those are the 3 questions, and this time, I want you to answer them so the public can hear the answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming up. Mr. Miller, did you get all that? Or Mr. Huth?
Why don't you wait till the floor?
First question is who's going to pick up the cost for the exempt lots?
Get all the questions at once at the end.
Or Ms. Thurber? Anyone?
Mr. Supervisor, the exempt lots are lots that will not benefit by the sanitary sewer at all. They cannot benefit. One is a nature sanctuary, that nothing can be done with it. There's, I believe, 3 pieces of property that belong to Consumers Power. And there's a ITC transmission line. And those are owned properties, but they have absolutely no benefit by the sanitary sewer. I believe the second had to do with, is somebody going to be charged interest if they don't tie in? And yes, per the statute, there is an interest rate that's established, and the cost of the sanitary sewer can be spread out over 10 years, and there will be an interest rate assessed at that point.
Third question is, can someone sell their home if they have not tapped in, or would they be prohibited from selling their home until there's a tap in?
I believe the Macomb County Health Department requires a point of sale, a septic field inspection. We do not require that they tie into the sanitary sewer. The Health Department, is my understanding, is if there's a failure and there's sanitary sewer available, they will require that they tie in. The assessment itself, my experience has been that most lending institutions will not give you the loan until the lien has been paid off from the assessment. So it would be the same as a streetlight assessment or any other type.
Paid at closing, really.
Yes. Paid out
Okay.
the proceeds.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Yes, in the back? Did you, yep.
Good evening. My name's Anthony Urbani. I'm an attorney. I'm a corporate attorney for OZAD Property Management. I have a letter of authority that I was asked to bring with me that allows me to speak on their behalf and bind them to any statements that I have, should you want to review it. My client owns several parcels. I can read the ID numbers into the record, but they own several property IDs, which is vacant land along 25 Mile Road. And I'm just coming tonight. I understand it's off the agenda, but I'm coming to voice the objection to it and reserve our right to appeal it. I've talked to some members of your community here, some representatives, and I'm hopeful that discussions will be initiated and we can resolve this matter. But I just wanted to make a record in that regard.
Mr. Urbani, would you mind on that form, maybe writing down the property ID parcels? You don't have to do it while you're at the podium, but just identify which ones.
I can read it right in the record. I have them all. 07 01 476 001, 07 01 451 014, 07 01 451 013, 07 01 451 012, 07 01 476 018, 07 01 451 007 is my understanding of the parcel numbers.
Thank you. Anyone else tonight? Yes, sir.
Patrick Smasco, 14989 25 Mile. When we first came here a couple months ago, when it was the prior district, it seemed like our cost would be about $14,000. And when they reduced the landowners, it bumped up to $20,000. The question that I have before the board is, a number of years ago, I'm an attorney in Mount Clemens, and we represented a homeowner that had a number of lots in Chesterfield Township. Sewer came through as a result of a developer. That homeowner never paid towards the sewer. And then later on, when the land was sold, they paid a hookup fee at that time. So the future buyers paid for the hookup. Can the resolution be amended to reflect the people that want the sewer, they pay for the cost of the sewer, because they're huge developers, they're gonna do it regardless. The number of homeowners that are not gonna be benefiting by it is so small, they're still gonna wanna do it and just pay for the hookup at that time. Is that allowed under the statute to amend that, to reflect that?
Okay, I'll get an answer for you. Thank you. Mr. Huth, is that a Mr. Miller question, or would that be you? Or Matt Schmidt? Or Carol Thurber? Or anyone in the audience?
Well, thank
No,
you-
no, no, no,
thank
no, I
you
can't
for
do
me-
that. No, 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 no. I was kidding, I was kidding. I
Thank
should
you,
not.
Mr. Samasco, for having four of us look at each other and shrug our shoulders and say, we're not sure. I will say, as we discussed earlier, the resolution has been put off the agenda tonight so we could digest the comments that we heard in public hearing. Yours will be digested, and I will respond to you ahead of our next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming up. Anyone else? Yes.
Bob Kogeman, 1451025 Mile Road. I'd like to remind everybody that when we started this procedure way back when, the board said they can stop it at any time, and when we had 80 people up here voicing our opinion against it, they said, let's wait and get the cost, and why stop it now until we see what the cost is? But now we know where the cost is, so we're asking you to not do this project. That's what we're asking. There are other ways to do the project. The gentleman just said that the old Hosty farm is sold, which connects to the woods behind the Deagle place. This can be run behind the Deagles. They will not be affected, but that would require a lift station. DPW doesn't want a lift station. It would add to the cost. Well, it would add to the cost mostly to the developers. What hasn't been said is the question that he asked, the developer, in the statute, it does say that it can be spread to the people who don't want it, but it doesn't have to. If the developer wanted to pay for this whole thing, he could. And that's what we're asking. Because none of the people on 25 Mile Road want it. We have great septics and everything. It's a bigger pipe because of all the development, which is spread over to the people that don't want it. So nobody from the developer has contacted the people on 25 Mile Road and said, what can we do to help this? If we put a pump station back there, very expensive. The money saved by not putting a lift pump station there, he could run that pipe down 25 Mile Road without a problem. He's the one who wants to develop that. He's the one, him and, there's multiple developers, bought that knowing they would have to do this. We don't want it. If we wanted a sewer, we would have run a small half-mile district and put a 10-inch pipe in there. But now they're stuck paying for a 26-inch pipe. And Deagles have 9 acres of agriculture, but they're being assessed $106,000 because they could put lots in there. Here's a novel idea. Let the developer pay for that pipe, and when Deagles ever put lots in there, then charge them. But it's farmland. They're not gonna put lots in there, but they're being charged like they're going to. And that's unfair. If the developer paid for the whole thing, put that on writing, not us paying interest for it, put it on writing that if they ever develop that property, they owe $106,000. When they sell it to a future developer, he will know what he has to pay to connect into the sewer. But there's no reason why they should have to pay $106,000 for farmland. The developer should just put the pipe in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else tonight? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Donna Sullivan. I live on 25 Mile Road, and, excuse me, and I have lived there along with my husband for over 45 years. I was all country when we moved in, but I know time goes on and development will come, and I understand that. I feel that the majority of the people here on 25 Mile Road are not really going to be tapping into the sewer, so it is not going to be a benefit for them. I mean, I think in the beginning, Mr. Miller thought he was doing us, or he was putting it that way so that people would have the opportunity to have sewers. Most of us, we all have septic tanks, they all work fine, we do not have a problem, okay? I just oppose this process of us paying our assessment fee that has been levied by the assessor, where the developer could take over a larger amount. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else tonight? Yes.
Tom Nemez, 15187 25 Mile Road. I'm the very first house that would be started in this special assessment district. There's only 3 properties in the special assessment district that are actually subdivision lots. This is a platted subdivision, single-family residential. The three properties that are assessed at figures half of mine, the other two properties. The lot that I have is a little bit bigger, but it's a corner lot. It's single-family residential. They put the turnaround right in front of the house. It's never going to be anything more than single-family residential, so I just don't see any justification to be paying double my immediate neighbors in the same subdivision for the special assessment district. But I also like to add to conversations earlier, I'm a real estate broker and have been in the community here for 40 years. The fact is, a house with septic versus a house with city sewer, there's only a value of about $5,000. But even though these are assessed and figures put out there, like in my case, it was $6,700, it costs another $3,000 or $4,000 to put it in. So it's going to be not cost effective, under this program. And additionally, the way it was brought up about when real estate sells and it has to be paid for, most of the sellers in this community are going to be stuck in a catch-22 because the health department, when they know the sewer's available there, they're more harsh on their inspections and have a tendency to want to get rid of the septic systems. And FHA mortgages and VA mortgages won't allow a mortgage to be processed if the sewer is at the street and the property's on a city septic field, even though it's working. I'm certain that's the case with VA, and I'm almost certain it's the case with FHA. So most of the sellers at any point of sale are going to have to probably, for sure, they have to pay it off, but they may also have to connect as well and have an additional financial burden.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else tonight? Yes.
My name's Mike Scioli. I live at 14600 25 Mile Road. I've been there 42 years. I just, in behalf of the Deagles, I'm across the street. One of the reasons why I want to speak out for him is my father-in-law bought that farm in 1953 and ran that farm till he retired, okay? It's been an agricultural farm in the community forever, and long before any of us were here, it was a farm. Then he passed it on. He didn't pass it on, but he sold it to Steve's dad, which is Earl Deagle, and he worked it till he retired. And in family tradition, the son took over, okay? Now, what you people have to realize, okay, I used to help my father-in-law on that farm. It isn't cut and dry. It ain't like, you got a job, you're making 70 G's a year or whatever, and you get that paycheck every week. Not everything goes right on a farm, You have your lean times, you have your good times, okay? Now, they have 4 young children. They got to pay health benefits, and they got to make their own pension someday. And sticking them with $106,000, I mean, it's got to break your heart, really. I mean, they can't afford it, and they're being realistic with you. And I go over there, and them people work from sunup to sundown, and they work hard, and they deserve every dime they get. So I'm just asking you, I know there's got to be a way to help these people, take the burden off the working man's back. I know the developer has this, the builders have it, and they're standing to make a lot more of it. So I'm just asking you to take them in consideration and help them out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Daniel Boris. The last time I asked our attorney if it was appropriate for majority to be determined not by the voice of the people, but by the acreage owned by somebody. Now, I looked at Public Act 188, and it basically falls upon you 7 people to make that logical decision of who wants to have something in their backyard. Your voices will determine that. It takes 4 of you to say, no, we're not going to carry this any further. But so far, you have unanimously decided that all the people who do not want this, that you are going to affect by whether or not you approve this, do not count as much as the developer's voice who wants to run a sewer to an empty field. Now, the Public Act was specifically issued to allow for communities to improve services to existing residents. And the only residents that you are going to put service to don't want it. And it's going to run to an empty field where you're going to allow a developer to put 50,000 square foot houses on 100 by 50 foot lots. They're going to be, in essence, axle-less mobile trailer yards. They'll look just like it. They're all cookie-cutter homes. You can find them everywhere. And that's what you want to throw into Shelby. You could also tell that developer, I'm sorry, we're not going to put that expense out. We're not going to put that expense on the shoulders of our constituents who do not want it, who have every time I've heard them say to you, we do not want this. But you ignore them and continue forward. You tell them we won't do that, but you can do septic fields, just like your neighbors have. You know, I just had my septic tank cleaned. It was like $180 after 8 years. What is your sewer rate per month? Can you match that? Anybody who has a sewer system, what's your sewer bill? Would it match that? But you have to still listen to the people who have come forward and says, no, we don't want this. And you ignore them. But that's not new to you guys. But this is no longer just a gas station where nobody wants it. This is making people pay out of their pockets for something they don't want. But you're not going to listen to them. It only takes 4 of you, just 4, to say, no, this ends here. And I hope that you guys get your kahunas and make that happen.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else tonight? Yes.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My question is, who's the engineer on this project? And are we still paying Fazlkan hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this project for us, in addition to another engineering firm? And if so, why are there 2 engineering firms and not just one? But my main question is, why are we paying someone who has been indicted, their firm, to do this business? Thank you.
Well, I can answer one question. We're not paying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands to any engineer for this project, but Mr. Miller, can you want to comment on the engineers that we are paying?
Mr. Supervisor, Board of Trustees, we are paying for 2 primary engineering firms. One is Fazlkan and Associates. They are doing professional services here and doing contract administration. The other one is Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick, who is approved by the board here to do the primary design work for this. We have other consultants, such as wetland consultants, that are working with us as well.
And why are we paying 2 engineers?
Because it's probably about 2009, when Fazlkan was hired, he indicated that we would bid out large projects like this and try to get the best bang for the buck with the taxpayers, or in this case, the people involved in the district. In doing that, Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick was the chosen.
So AEW is a primary engineer?
That is correct, for the design, yes.
Okay, so Fazlkan just did the bidding.
They did the bidding, and they're running the contract administration, and they're also doing miscellaneous things for this project.
Thank you very much. Anyone else tonight? Yes, sir, in the back. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you already had turn. Anyone else tonight? No one? Okay, I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing. I'm sorry, you can only come up
moved,
one
Mr.
time.
Chairman.
So sorry. Motion by Mr. Flynn to close the public hearing. Would someone like to second that?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wozniak. Let's take a roll call vote, please.
Michael Flynn,
Yes.
Doug Wozniak,
Yes.
Linda Wilhelm,
Yes.
Vince Viviano,
Yes.
John Vermeulen,
Yes.
Rick Steffikis,
Yes.
and Stan Grot, yes. Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, that was simply a hearing, and we are not going to be voting on anything more tonight having to do with this sewer. The resolution would probably be held until the next meeting. Is that correct, Mr. Miller? Okay. Resolution number 5 will be at the next meeting. Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda that has been presented?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Grote.
move to approve consent agenda as follows. HR Coordinator Job Description, move to approve the job description for the position of HR Coordinator as presented. B, Office Clerk Job Description, move to approve the job description for the position of Office Clerk as presented. C, Investment Policy Statement, move to adopt the investment policy statement as presented. DPW Building Bond Redemption, move to concur with the recommendation of Dave Miller, Director of Public Works, and Michael Flynn, Township Treasurer, to authorize and pay the redemption amount of $1,976,860, no cents, for the outstanding balance and interest for the Building Authority refunding bonds, Series 2006. Michigan Indigent Council application, move to approve the grant application to the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission. Minutes, board meeting, November 7th, 2017, move to approve the minutes as presented. And G, a final one, move bill round in the amount of $2,174,756.18. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Grote, seconded by Mr. Wozniak. Could you please take the roll again?
Stanley Grote, yes. Doug Wozniak.
Yes.
Michael Flynn.
Yes.
Rick Steffikis.
Yes.
John Vermeulen.
Yes.
Vince Viviano.
Yes.
Lynn Wilhelm.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Ed, could you please put up the slide? Oh, you've got it up already for the agenda. Okay, first agenda item, I know that there have been some changes, so Mr. Grote, as I go through it, maybe you can help me out here.
Absolutely. We are pulling number 3 out on agenda per request from Mr. Miller.
Resolution number 5 is off the agenda.
Correct. Number
Okay.
3.
And then I understand we're adding one?
We're adding number 6. Number 8 is to the purchase of replacement utility vehicle for Chief Swankowski.
Okay, good.
Taking off number 2, too, right? 2 and 3.
Financing the special district, special
Not sure
assessment
about
district.
Number 2 stays. Number 2 stays, Mr. Flynn.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first item will be the adoption of zoning ordinance map amendment number 212.109, requesting a charge in zoning from C1, local retail business, to R12, multiple family low rise for property at 55133 Van Dyke, west side of Van Dyke, north of 25 Mile Road. Item number 2, financing of the special assessment district 34-S-2015. Number 3, we're taking off. The resolution number 5, we will hold till next meeting. So we'll go to number 4, resolution to waive property tax administration fee and late penalty charge requested by the treasurer's office. Number 5, approval of the 41A judicial court employees collective bargaining agreement. Number 6, the survey of the township-owned properties, section 15. Number 7, Southeast Michigan Council of Governments membership, better known as SEMCOG. That'll be on the agenda tonight. And number 8, which was added today, the purchase replacement utility vehicle, which is somewhat of an emergency because of a situation which the Chief Swankowski will explain. So that's the agenda for tonight. If someone would like to make a motion to approve it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr.
I
Grove.
move to approve regular agenda as you presented.
Motion made by Mr. Grote, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Wozniak. Any further comment by the board? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so residents, this is your opportunity for you to address a board regarding any of the items on our agenda this evening. Your comments pursuant to board policy are limited to 3 minutes. Please keep in mind that while the scope of your discussion at this point of the meeting should be limited to agenda items, you will also have an opportunity at the end of the meeting to discuss a wider range of topics that relate to our township business. Is there anyone that would like to ask or have any comments about the agenda items? Mr. Churchill.
Ron Churchill, Mound Road. Mr. Supervisor, shouldn't you have the fire chief come up here first and key us up a little bit on that replacement vehicle first so we know which way to go on asking these questions? Aren't you doing things a little bit backwards? What kind of mentality is that anyways? I want to start off with the SEMCOG. I'm glad to see that we did away with the MTA a number of years ago, the Michigan Township Association. That was a big joke. But the SEMCOG, I understand, is something like $60 cheaper or something this time around. And Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to know exactly how much we paid into this over the past year, and a breakdown of exactly what benefits this township has gotten from SEMCOG, and dollar-wise, how much are we ahead dollar-wise compared to what we put into it. And as far as the replacement vehicle for the fire chief, I'd like to know exactly what that is, and is this a replacement, or is it just they want another vehicle? And if it's being replaced, what exactly is wrong with the old one? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, we'll go on to the first agenda item number 1. And Mr. Glenn Wynn, our planning director, is here. I'll let you tee it up and take it from here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. This is for the second reading of a change in zoning for a 5-acre parcel on the west side of Van Dyke, north of 25 Mile Road, from C1 local retail to R12 multiple family low-rise. At the last meeting, you approved the introduction of the rezoning and approved the special land use for an 82-unit assisted living facility. The change in the zoning is consistent with our new master plan and with the development pattern along Van Dyke. So tonight is just the second step in that adoption process, Mr. Chairman and board members. Nothing new.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion, please?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Ms. Wilhelm.
Thank you. To approve and publish an amendment to the text and map of the Charter Township of Shelby zoning ordinance. Ordinance number 212.109 to rezone property at 55133 Van Dyke, parcel number 23-07-04-476-005 from C1 local retail to R12 multiple family low-rise for the following reasons. 1, the proposed change in zoning is aligned with the policies contained in the township's adopted master plan. 2, other multiple family zoning sites are located on the west side of Van Dyke, north of 25 Mile Road in the vicinity of this parcel. 3, the current C1 district boundaries are not appropriately located in relation to existing retail development trends and expectations. 4, there does not appear to be sufficient demand for additional commercial zoning on this portion of Van Dyke. 5, the change is not out of scale with the needs of the community. 6, the change in zoning is further based on the approval of a special land use for an assisted living facility previously approved by the Planning Commission and Township Board.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Wilhelm, I got your name right tonight, and seconded by Mr. Vermeulen. Any questions, discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Wozniak.
Mr. Nguyen, would you care to comment on the artifacts again?
Oh, there was, we did get some comments at the site plan level about the fact that there was an historic homestead dating back to the early 1800s, and we're going to try to encourage the developer to be sensitive when they start digging to cover what they can recover.
Yeah, the Historical Commission actually requested that.
Yes.
All right, thank
We're
you.
trying to hook those two up when they get ready, a little further along.
Yeah, the developers seemed to acquiesce to that.
They seemed, yeah, and I did reach out to the historical representative to see if they want to participate in that process.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, let's take a roll call vote, please.
Lynn Wilhelm,
Yes.
John Vermeulen,
Yes.
Vince Viviano,
Yes.
Doug Wozniak,
Yes.
Michael Flynn,
Yes.
Stan Grot, yes, and Rick Steffikis.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Nguyen, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay. The second item, financing of the Special Assessment District 34-S 2015. With respect to the sanitary sewer Special Assessment District that we discussed at the public hearing, we are now asked to consider a resolution that would begin the process of permitting the funds to become available to finance this improvement. That would be part of the resolution number 5 that we'll be talking about at the next meeting. Rather than incur the expense of issuing bonds for the project, the township itself would use funds from the capital improvement project to finance this project with a sale of bonds. It will instead be financed through money available in a township water and sewer fund. Did I get that right, Mr. Miller? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Flynn.
I'd move to concur with the recommendation of David Miller, Director DPW, and use water and sewer reserve funds to establish a township improvement revolving fund for the purpose of funding Special Assessment District 34S 2015 and further charge an interest rate of 2.5% per annum on the unpaid balance over a 10-year period.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, seconded by
Second?
Mr. Wozniak. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Michael Flynn,
Yes.
Doug Wozniak,
Yes.
Stan Grot, yes, Rick Steffikis.
Yes.
John Vermeulen,
Yes.
Vince Viviano,
No.
and Lynn Wilhelm.
No.
Okay, motion passes 5-2. However, the process can be stopped any time, and next meeting, we will talk about the resolution, okay? So this is step number 9 out of 10.
The
Okay.
final is next meeting.
Okay, good. Now, number 3 is off the agenda, and number 4 is a resolution to waive property tax administration fee and light penalty. Mr. Flynn, it seems like we have seen this item on the agenda in the past, and you're now asking the board to support this?
Yes, it's an annual requirement that we vote on this. Some of our neighbors actually charge one or both of these fees, but here in Shelby Township, to pat ourselves on the back a little bit, because of our management, we don't need to charge this extra fee, which would amount to a 1% increase on the taxpayers. The late fee is the 2-week period between when the taxes are actually due and when they go to the county delinquent. And I know a couple of our close neighbors actually do charge that fee, but we waive that fee as well. So what I'd like to do is move to adopt a resolution to waive the 1% property tax administration fee and the 3% late penalty charge as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, seconded by Ms. Wilhelm. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please. Oh, roll call on this?
Michael Flynn,
Yes.
Lynn Wilhelm,
Yes.
Stanley Grot, yes, Rick Steffikis.
Yes.
John Vermeulen,
Yes.
Vince Viviano.
Yes.
And Doug Wozniak.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, great. Next item, number 6. Speaking,
I'm sorry,
Fine.
Mr. Interruption here. Can I make
Sure.
a comment?
Yeah, yeah.
If I just double-checked with Mr. Miller, and I just want the board to know that they, on item number 2, where we passed a resolution regarding the interest rate to borrow funds from the water and sewer to use for this SAD, that doesn't mean that the SAD interest rate has been set at 2.5%. So the board should know that when we set the SAD interest rate, you can come back and we'll amend if it's different than 2.5%, what the board's done tonight with respect to this item. And I did mention that to the folks in the hall. I should have done a better job of explaining that when the board voted on that item, but I just want to make sure for those that may be watching on TV that there's still going to be another look at what the interest rate is for the district. Tonight's action did not determine that.
And Mr. Chairman, I would just add for board members, that is based off, that's not a number we picked out of the sky. That's based off the 10-year T-bill rate. And in fact, when we, Dave Miller and I discussed what the interest rate should be, the 10-year T-bill rate was 15 or 20 basis points higher than that. So that's where we came up with that number.
And the only thing I want to add, too, is with all the discussion and input we had tonight, we can now go back and hunker down and actually see what needs to be changed and see if we can make these people happier. Is that right, Mr. Huth?
That's correct.
Okay, good. Okay, well, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, good. Now we'll talk about the approval of 41A Judicial Court Employees Collective Bargaining Agreement. At the request of our Human Resources Director, Lisa Suda, we are asked to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the 41A Judicial Court employees. Ms. Suda, as I understand it, on November 8th, 2017, the employees of the 41A Judicial Court ratified a tentative agreement that has been negotiated on behalf of the Township. This three-year deal, if approved tonight, will expire on December 31st, 2020. In my review of it, finds it to be fair to the taxpayers, as well as the employees are doing a very good job under difficult circumstances in a current court building. Would someone like to make a motion? Go ahead, Mr. Wozniak.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the 41A Judicial District Court Funding Unit, the Charter Township of Shelby, and the 41A Judicial District Court employees as ratified by the bargaining unit on November 8, 2017.
Support. Let's see, Mr. Wozniak made the motion, and who supported it? Mr. Viviano. Any discussion? Is there anything you want to add to the discussion, Ms. Suda? Okay, you want to take a roll call vote? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Ms. Suda, thanks for coming in. Finally, not finally, but item number 6, survey of the township-owned properties. Speaking of the district court, we are asked to consider a matter suggested by our township assessor, Mr. Matt Schmidt. And you want to tee it up?
Yeah, good evening,
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the Township Board. I have a couple slides. Maybe we could look at the first one. I know it's a little hard to see, but what we're trying to do is, when we filed the site plan for the proposed district court building, we noticed that that particular building, where it's going to sit south of the existing police station, crossed over two existing property lines, which is again against our ordinance. So we kind of set out to see what we had to do to split and combine the township properties by affecting the minimum amount of properties to facilitate the construction of this new building. The properties are all owned by the Township Building Authority or the Charter Township of Shelby. And if you go to the next slide, it's a little bit easier to see what we're trying to do. The top Exhibit A is the list of the properties that are involved in the application. There are 12 of them, and if you'll notice, a lot of the properties are long and skinny, and a lot of the existing buildings we have also go across those property lines. So to make these properties conform with the way that we require every other split applicant that comes to us for a property split, we're affecting a change from Exhibit A on the top, from 12 properties to Exhibit B on the bottom. The orange property would be the Township Complex, which contains all the existing buildings and would also contain the District Court building. And then property number 2, shown in red or pink, would be property that's existing, which contains the entrance to the golf course and pretty much all golf course properties. The reason the entrance road parcel was included with that is that property won't be landlocked, and it'll have frontage on 24 Mile Road, therefore bringing the township property into conformance the way it needs to be. And the township engineer provided a quote to have their surveyor prepare a complete survey, record drawings, legal descriptions, and the recommendation is to approve the payment contained in job ST 17164 for the scope of services detailed in the letter dated November 9th, 2017.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Flynn?
I'd move to authorize the township engineering consultant to complete a parcel combination of 12 parcels owned by Shelby Township comprising the municipal campus and a portion of Cherry Creek Golf Course, and complete a subsequent split and combination application for the fee of $20,750 as outlined in their letter dated November 9th, 2017. Funds are available in a line item 101-101-807-000.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, supported by Mr. Viviano. Any questions?
One question,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt. When we talk about a perimeter description of each, we're not talking meets and bounds, right?
Oh, yes, it would have to, the surveyor would have to prepare a meets and bounds description of each of the properties shown in orange and pink, which obviously requires a full survey. We originally looked at all of the township properties in that section, and the scope was much larger. There were about 30, if I recall, 33 properties that were involved in that, and then the decision was made to scale down the whole operation to concentrate on getting the township-owned property shown in orange, because that's the specific description we need so that the new building does not cross over the lot line. So it would be a meets and bounds description of both, that they would have to prepare for both parcels.
And you're sufficient with that, right? Meets and
Yes,
bounds?
yes,
Okay.
the existing properties are kind of a mess. If you look at
Yeah,
that
right.
above map, they're all over the place.
Just making sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? Good job, Mr. Matt Schmidt, I appreciate everything. Okay, roll call, or all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And thanks for coming in, too. Appreciate it. Number 7, this is the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments membership, better known as SEMCOG. Board, here I'm asking you to concur with my recommendation that we renew our membership with the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, SEMCOG, that assists our township by advocating issues on transportation, environment, and economic development that help serve our residents. Additionally, it has been a valuable source to gather information that we make decisions, when we make decisions on policies, practices, and other matters here in Shelby Township. SEMCOG has been a valuable partner, and I recommend that we join with 171 other Michigan communities to continue our affiliation with it. And before anybody makes a motion, I just want to answer the questions. How much we pay will be in a motion, but as far as the breakdown of benefits, well, I believe we pay, about $8,000 for this?
$8,800.
$8,800. And what we have gotten so far is a Macomb Orchard Trail. We got a $272,000 grant because of the help from SEMCOG. In the Iron Bell Segment 3 at the River Bends, we got a grant of $276,000, and that was primarily because of SEMCOG helping us along, and they are the coordinator, after all, of all the funding for this. So they've been a great help, and in all, we have gotten about $548,000 in return for our $8,500 or $8,600 investment last year. Well worth it. Would someone like to make the motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Vermeulen.
Yes, I move to approve the renewal of the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments membership dues covering November 15th, 2017 through November 18th, 2018 in the amount of $8,881. Funds are available for this item in account number 101-101-728-0000. Support.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Vermeulen and seconded by Mr. Viviano. Questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And finally, number 8, I'm just going to ask Chief Swinkowski, our fire chief, to come up and talk about what's going on.
Good evening, board members, ladies and gentlemen. We have a heavy-duty pickup truck that we use to tow all of our heavy trailers, and it was actually scheduled for replacement through our capital improvement fund back in 2016. But through our preventive maintenance program and stuff, we were able to extend its life and not just replace it because the schedule said so. So during the summer, we actually go back, and we always like to do our due diligence it's been many years since we looked at our trailers and our pickups and how we manage things. So Chief Schlide was very gracious, and their weighmaster, Officer Stansberry, spent a couple of days with our lieutenant who handles this, and we went through each pickup truck using the scales between us and the DPW, weighing the axles of our trailers, looking at the hitches, measuring tongue weight to ensure compliance with the road rules and how we are doing things. And in doing so, we like to look at the manufacturers, what they say they can tow versus how it actually pans out on the scale. And so we can ensure our plan, our long-term plan actually, meets all the requirements, and we're not putting any of our firefighters or residents at any type of risks. And so in doing so, we realized that we still have to maintain a F-350 diesel truck, because the diesels give you more towing capacity and has more weight capacity. We did, a couple years ago, purchase a F-350 gasoline for use with some of our hazmat trailers and our grass truck and things like that, but the gasoline engines do not have the type of towing capacities, and so we realized that we do have to maintain a diesel, because that upgrade in these trucks are about $9,000 to $10,000 with the diesel engine. We just want to make sure that we needed it and not just buying it. And so we are working our way through this process to replace the truck. In the last 2 months, that truck has been out of service, getting repairs more than it's been. It's had a lot of engine issues, fuel injectors, things that typically start going wrong. And I believe all of my backup, because in going through this process, we looked at all the different manufacturers. I think the Silverado, Chrysler brand, I forget which one we were looking at, but we started going through all the state bid trucks, looking at the specs. The Ford still has the best-in-class towing capabilities and tongue weight that we needed. And so we went through the normal bid process, contacted Signature Ford, who has the Macomb County bid contract. They sent us the information, took receipt of it. The contract ends November 30th. And we did not want to wait into next year and get hit with the 2 or 3% increase in pricing for the same vehicle, and not knowing when that contract would reopen. So I obviously made a call today to try and get it on so we can maintain the current pricing and get the vehicle ordered before the contract runs out at the end of the month. And I believe, all my backup was actually, it's turned in, it got scanned in, I don't have it, but I think the truck's around 86,000 miles and has close to, I think it's 2,900 hours on it, if somebody has their paperwork in front of them. But yeah, we do have an engine hour meter on it and stuff. And so that truck has been run pretty hard since 2004 when we took delivery of it. And, it served its usefulness, but it needs to be replaced, outside of the engine problems and a big old rust hole on one side and a lot of interior stuff just from all the years of use.
Okay. Well, I think all the information is in the motion. Would someone like to make a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Viviano.
I'd like to concur with the recommendation of Fire Chief Jim Smikowski and approve the purchase of one 2018 Ford F-350 Crew Cab 4x4 pickup from Signature Ford and related expenses to a total price not to exceed $49,069. Funds are available for this budgeted item in line item 427-340-985-000 Capital Improvement Fund.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Viviano, seconded by Ms. Wilhelm. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Good job, Chief. Thanks for being
Thank
on
you.
top of that, so we can save a little bit of money.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, now it's time for township announcements. I'll begin with you, Mr. Viviano.
I'd just like to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody here and the citizens of the township. And one announcement, the sinkhole 15 Mile is scheduled to open the end of the month on the 30th. So hopefully they stay on schedule.
Thank you. Ms. Wilhelm.
Okay, I also wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And I also want to remind people with children from kindergarten to second grade in Shelby to submit their coloring project. The contest goes through December 2nd. The winner will be able to give the key to the township to Santa Claus at Christmas Aglow on December 7th. The coloring page can be found on our website or at the public library. So I hope to see all of these here soon. We are also going to display them in the lobby here through January 3rd. Thanks.
That's a very nice program. Thank you very much, Ms. Wilhelm. Mr. Flynn?
Nothing this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Grove?
I just want a quick announcement. Shelby Township Jingle Bell Run, 5K run/5K walk, it will take place Sunday, December 17, 2017 at 9 a.m. Registration / start finish, community center, courthouse, senior center, 9 a.m. start, run / walk registration 7:30 a.m. For more information, call Michael Ward, 586-484-5523, and proceeds to benefit Macomb County Special Olympics, Pennicron Center, Cattail Acres, and Hope Water Project. Again, call Michael Ward, 586-484-5523. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vermeulen.
No announcements other than happy Thanksgiving to everybody, Shelby Township, and all your relatives as well.
I see you have your hunting hand with you, so I know what you'll be doing soon. Mr. Wozniak?
From the senior center, happy Thanksgiving. From the library, they're going to be decorating their tree in the library November 30th. They also say happy Thanksgiving, and I too say happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, and I just really have a couple of things. First, I just want you to help me welcome my new deputy supervisor, Chelsea Olin. She was an intern here a couple of years ago. Then she went on to get a job for a couple of years, and now she's back as my deputy supervisor. And of course, we will continue to just have one person supporting me as opposed to three. Back in 2008, we changed that and saved a lot of money every year since 2008. So we'll continue with that concept. Just one person in my office, two, of course, with me. So yeah, I would appreciate if you could help me in congratulating her. That would be great. And also, at the beginning of the meeting, and I thought I would just kind of sit and reflect a little bit as to what I'm thankful about as we enter into this Thanksgiving holiday. And I wrote some of these things down during the meeting, but mostly just before the meeting. And I just want to share some of them with you. It's a partial list, but I'll complete it later. But number one, I'm very, very thankful, of course, for my faith, very thankful for my family, and very thankful for the freedom that we enjoy. And as I see Phil Randazzo sitting in the back row, it reminds me that I'm very thankful for our military, our past and present, especially the ones who have fallen. I'm very thankful for our first responders, protecting the United States of America every day. Especially, I'm very proud and thankful for the first responders we have protecting us here in Shelby Township. And I'm very thankful for all the great schools in Shelby Township, the teachers, the principals, the staff, and all the leadership. And I'm very thankful for all the churches we have. There are many denominations. I'm thankful for every one of them because I think they share a common goal, which is to depopulate hell, which is a good thing. And number 8, I'm very honored being your supervisor. It's just an honor to sit here at every meeting, and it's really, I'm thankful also for all the employees, over 300 employees we have, all the department heads, and especially everybody up here on my left and right that just make this job look easy, but it's not, but we get through it every day. I'm thankful because we are a solid team, everybody here, and, we all know that we're in business to be a service organization. That's what we are, it's pure and simple, a service organization. And every day when we come to work, we have one objective, and that is to meet or exceed your expectations as a resident and as a taxpayer. So, again, thank you all, and happy Thanksgiving. So now it's time for business from the floor. We conduct township business here consistent with the way a business meeting is handled. Here, each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss business that's relevant to the operation of our terrific township. Who would like to go first? Okay, thank you. Mr. Churchill.
Ron Churchill, Mound Road. Mr. Supervisor, I was just listening to the words you just said. And I was just thinking, you said you enjoy the freedoms that we have, our rights. And I just got to thinking, what a farce that is. What a big joke. When you people up there are trying to undermine our rights of freedom of speech, you four cronies up there that voted for this 3-minute deal and not allowing us to respond to your answers. What a joke that is. And you say our military is fighting for our rights, our freedom in other countries. What in the world? Why do we need freedom and rights in other countries? We need freedom and rights here. This is the United States of America. I think they got something backwards. They ought to be fighting here for our rights. This country is going downhill. It won't be too long, way before the end of the century, that this country, the so-called United States of America, actually it's the divided States of America, is just going to be a memory. That's all it's going to be. All these wars that we've fought since the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, all these wars, ain't going to mean a darn thing, not one darn thing, when this country becomes just a memory. That brings up something else, Mr. Supervisor. This thing about Grant Galasso wanting to speak at a work session, you trying to stop him, saying that a meeting is for you people and not for us. You should be ashamed of yourself, Mr. Supervisor. You should have known better. You should have known better.
30 seconds.
You took the word of it, your crony colleagues down there on the end, and made yourself look like an absolute idiot. On top of it, you got 2 lawyers up there that should have known better. I believe you people will try anything to see if you'll get away with it. You try to get away with something like that, who knows how many other things you've gotten away with.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to come up tonight?
A big
Yes, sir.
joke.
Before you start, I just want to let you know that last meeting you had an outburst, and we asked you to leave the boardroom. So I would ask that when you return to your seat, if you could please just let everybody else have time to speak with freedom in their 3 minutes, just like we're giving you the freedom of speaking for 3 minutes without any interruptions. I would appreciate that. Thank you. Go ahead.
In these bill runs that were approved tonight, I would like to point out that the engineering firms, both AE&W and Pfizer Con, it cost the taxpayers $131,254.67. And I was wondering, since I'm in these expenses, how come you haven't put the Treasury Agency Fund account and the charge card account online? You claim to be transparent, but your transparency is, like I said before, is about as clear as the bottom of my septic tank. Because if you didn't have anything to hide, you would put these expenses up online. Now, this in the bill runs here of the month of February, November here, we had a total of 1,180 vendors that were paid out on these two bill runs for November. You said at one time that if you put them out online, there would be too many items on each one of these Treasury Agency fund account and charge account accounts to put online. I ask you, is there more than 1,180 vendors on both of those? So that argument that you possess is frivolous at best. I wanted to bring up some of the things from the last board meeting that I didn't get a chance to bring up. And one of them is the Township newsletter. The Township newsletter, a magazine, it cost the taxpayers $1,259.51. I don't know how many people pay attention to that newsletter. I know I don't. I throw it in the garbage as soon as I get it. It's just a waste of paper. And I noticed that in the fire department, in one of their vehicles, they paid $23,963 for a new engine. Now, that's really cheap compared to the price of a new truck. And I don't see why, whenever they use that excuse that the engine's got so many hours on it, or it's got so many miles on it, that
30
they
seconds.
don't replace the engine. I mean, it's a whole lot cheaper replacing an engine than it is buying a new truck. How many seconds?
15.
15. Well, that's not very much left out here for me to get into, except some of the tuition costs in the police and fire department, and are just getting excessive. If anybody's watching these bill runs every week, every 2 weeks online, I don't understand why the general public doesn't pay attention to the cost.
Time's up. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Anything I said here,
Time's up. Time's up. Thank you. Anyone else tonight? No one else? In the back? Time's up. Please return to your seat.
have I had any facilities here? Did I say anything
Return to your seat.
derogatory?
Return to your seat right now.
I am.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Sir, you're next.
Mr. Sathakis, you promised to answer all questions posed by the public. However, you changed the subject and filibustered the issue. Please, tonight, just answer the questions. Any questions about cash are taken from your own records submitted to the Macomb County Clerk. Number one, please explain to the public why you took a substantial contribution from the criminal defense attorney hired by the indicted engineer. Number two, tell the public how you managed to get over $15,000 from the indicted engineer and his cohorts. Now, just a statement. I have tapes from the last board meeting where you stated the $24,000 contribution was tied to your fundraiser. You reported to the county that $24,000 came from your own pocket. Yet, at the last meeting, you connected it to a fundraiser. Did you get that much money in cash from a fundraiser? If not, where did you come up with the $24,000 to give to your campaign on February 1st, 2016? I will be forwarding the tapes on your remarks to Eric Smith, Macomb County Prosecutor, Bill Schuette, Michigan Attorney General, and Ruth Johnson, Michigan Secretary of State. It is irresponsible for you to sit there on your golden throne and lie about your records. Your own records show you have fleeced people doing business with the township out of nearly $200,000, and you put in $63,740 yourself. Now, you have admitted to breaking campaign finance law by not reporting who gave you the cash. Your best hope now is to pray that you don't get that 4 a.m. knock or your front door rammed, which I personally believe is truly imminent. Now, I wanted to show something here. This right here shows a check for $14,804 and another one here for $9,300. These are your records reported to the Macomb County Clerk. Now, that totals $24,104. The numbers don't lie, Mr. Sathakis, but you do. Thank you very much. And happy
Well,
Thanksgiving.
First of all, I just want to say that 63, oh, okay, please, Mr. Turner, I'm asking you to leave. That was my second warning. I don't want any outbursts. You will leave right now. You will leave right now.
This is an outburst.
Okay, go ahead. I do apologize to the public, but we just must restore order so we can continue with the meeting.
Mike, we're being filmed, but we're not on TV, like, right now, live. Yeah, Jesus, guys, that's not.
Okay, well, I thought by trying to respectfully answer your questions without any notes would help you change, but it has not. So I'm not going to engage you any longer. Almost every meeting, you come up here with outrageous and bizarre questions of wrongdoing, even when there is no wrongdoing. And your repetitive, false, making accusations every time you come up here is just as outrageous and bizarre as your questions are that imply wrongdoing. Everything is on record. All you need to do is go to the Macomb County site, and it's all there. So I don't know why you pretend like you're doing all kinds of homework. There is no homework. All you need to do is put my name in there and find out exactly what's in there. Now, look, I know that you have very deep, hurt feelings, and I know that you're an angry young man, and it's all over your face. It's in your body language when you come up here. So you're way too young for this to happen. What are you, 23, 24 years old? And you walk around with a very hardened heart, and I feel bad for you. So you decided, all by yourself, that you wanted to distort the truth and mislead people, and you do that every meeting. And I'm not sure why you do it. But whatever the reason, you need to know that it's never, never okay to lie. You just can't do that. So, as I said, you're a young man. You're very, very young. I will still continue to hope and pray for you because of your youth, and you got a lot of life ahead of you, and that's a good thing. And I hope you lose your anger, and I hope you lose your deep hurt feelings. I really do. All I can do is hope and pray, and I'll continue to do that. Who wants to go next?
Mr. Chairman, one note on the previous speaker. While we've been talking, the Treasurer's Agency is on the website.
Oh, I know.
As are the credit cards, and I think we've said that a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yep. Everything here is on, and let me add one more thing to what Mr. Flynn just said. Everything in this township is on the record. All you need to do is use the Freedom of Information Act, come to the counter, and it's all there. We'll give you everything.
It's open, it's on.
Yeah, but that's online.
And it's open, it's on a website.
That's
That's
on the
right.
website.
Thank you for that. Yeah. So I know one of the speakers said that these charge card accounts are not on the website, but they are, and thank you for mentioning that. Okay? Anybody else tonight? No one else?
All right, there.
Okay. You, and then you. Thank you. Yep, go ahead. Yes.
Come on, Leo.
First thing I want to do, Leo Levy, is wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And I had Rick Safakis come with me when I did Let's Make a Deal at that nursing home in Shelby Crossing. And I tell you, I wish I had a lot of help that they should have here to help people do things that's worthwhile. I do Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall, but he's passed away a month ago. And he came down and watched me do Let's Make a Deal, and he was very excited. Regular show, you know, like the TV show. And I have commercials and everything. And I tell you, I enjoy doing that. It costs a lot of money, though, but, you know, I get a lot of donations, and I get a lot of help. And the people at that nursing home really appreciates it. It makes a lot of people happy. They smile. I think people that should get used to helping people, even at these nursing homes. A lot of people don't have visitors. They're real old, because I'm old myself, too. But you make them laugh, and it's really good. And I put them to work. I had them pick the numbers. And I think if people do more about good things in life, life's too short not to be raising all kinds of stuff. And I really appreciate doing that, and they appreciate me there, and I help a lot of people. More should get involved. So if anybody got anything they want to donate to the fundraisers, I'm all for it.
Well, thank you very much, and I will say I enjoyed myself when I went to the Shelby Crossing with you, and boy, that group really depends on you. Now, you don't look exactly like Monty Hall did, but you do as good of a job, and they love you there. And I know you take a lot of time wrapping all those presents and putting everything in boxes, and you even have your curtain number 1, 2, and 3, and everybody really enjoys it. So, and everybody walks out a winner, so it was a good time. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes, sir.
I wasn't going to come up here, but I'm going to come support them kind words that you said to myself and the other veterans. And, you know, out to the public, what's said about Thanksgiving in this country being messed up and everything else, they really don't know what a problem country is. We ought to be, well, we should be thankful that we can celebrate Thanksgiving, we can celebrate our birthday, anything in this country, from the past to the future. But to talk about the veterans overseas right now, the ones that are serving in the country here, they're eating, some are eating in the cafe, in the mess halls, and some aren't eating in the mess halls. They're lonely, and they're hoping they get their letters from home, but a lot of them are out there in some rough land that the government's not telling us. We've seen them four poor guys get killed not too long ago. But I myself, I reflect upon back when I was in the Ashaw Valley in '67, and they said it was Thanksgiving. We heard it was Thanksgiving, but we were in a fight, and I got about a half-inch down to my bone, and that's not even one of the Purple Hearts. That just happens that day in that fight. It was a Thanksgiving. There's no turkey. There's no sea rations. There's sucking sugar cane, that's all there is to it. But the people back home don't know that. And we don't write letters and tell them that. The Congress people, the senators, they don't say that, okay? But there's a lot of bad things that the vets have to go through, and this country is very, very thankful, and I appreciate the board's thank yous, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. And as Veterans Coordinator for Shelby Township, we really appreciate everything you do for our community. Okay, well, I think that really does it, unless anyone else would anyone else like to come up? Okay, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Support.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, seconded by Mr. Viviano. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? This meeting is adjourned. We will see you on Tuesday, December 5th, and we're looking forward to you being there. Thanks. Good night.